How many people think the Democrats are going to flip Texas? Good. How many think we are going to deliver our 38 electoral college votes for President Trump in November? I'm so glad to be here with you guys tonight and to share with you the Red Alert presentation that we have been sharing all over the state. We've got, it's called Red Alert because that's the attitude I want to be sure that everybody has as we are moving forward. We are going to win Texas, as you all just agreed. We are going to win Texas's 38 electoral college votes. We're going to deliver that for President Trump. But we are not going to do that because we have some God-given rights to it. We're not going to do that because our opposition is asleep at the wheel, because they certainly are not. We are going to do that because we are putting in the work necessary to make sure that we can do that. In Texas in 2018, O'Rourke came far too close to winning his race against Senator Cruz. And one of the things we did right after the 2018 election was try to figure out why was that? Why did O'Rourke come so close? This is a little chart, behind the map there is a chart that shows the growth in registered voters from primary election of 2012 to the general election of 2018. Over that 6-year window, the state of Texas added 2.7 million new registered voters. Now, for perspective, that's adding more registered voters in a 6-year period than the state of Colorado has. That's adding more registered voters than 25 other states have. That's how things have shifted. Not demographically, not otherwise. 3 million new voters. And on the Republican side, we had not been intentional about making sure that we were getting more than our fair share of those registered voters. Now, right after the last election, we also had our legislative session. That's the way the political calendar works in Texas. And we went right to work advancing our platform at a level we had never done before. And this really shows the difference in level. In 2017 legislative session, the Republican Party of Texas testified once on one bill. In the 2019 session, I alone testified 95 times, and we had other people testify as well, so we had 300 testimonies. We passed 100 bills. Those bills dealt with 49 of our platform planks. As I like to tell people, our platform might actually get smaller this time because we got some of it done, which is a really good reason for it to get shorter. And we passed, these were not insignificant things. We, for the first time, how many of y'all live in an unincorporated part of the county? I do. For the first time ever, it's illegal in Texas for a taxing entity to annex you without the vote of you and your neighbors. For the first time ever, Planned Parenthood is actually defunded. For the first time, we have disaster carry, which is a step in the right direction towards constitutional carry. We got some big wins. But we also had to get to work on making sure we could grow the party. And the best way to grow the party is to get new candidates excited and active. You know, we heard earlier from a new candidate who had gotten involved that is now working on a different campaign because he had run for office. Well, we have the same thing. And so I put together a candidate, I asked Kat Parks to put together a candidate recruiting task force. She did that. Got a great group of volunteers from all over the state. They went to work starting to spread the word that what our goal was to have the lowest number of unchallenged Democrats in Texas history. And we succeeded in doing that. Because I learned as the chairman of the Republican Party of Travis County, and y'all have a much cooler county, by the way. As chairman there, I learned you lose 100% of the races you're not in. And so they went to work But we not only wanted to have candidates, we wanted to make sure those candidates were well prepared. So we did a big Leadership Institute training session. We did 33 sessions all over the state. Over 1,300 people attended those trainings. And as a result, we swamped the Democrats with candidates on the ballot. And in fact, not only do we have more than double the candidates they had in the primary, but in the general election, the difference is even bigger. Right this minute, we have races where Republicans in Texas are in 2,118 races across the state of Texas right now. The Democrats have 837. That's 1,300 races we have already won because they haven't shown up. And that's 800 races that we can now concentrate on because of those others are already won. And as a result of this effort, as a result of saying, hey, we want as many great candidates as possible, and we will help train you, and we will help support you, we ended up with wonderful changes happening organically and naturally, like 100% increase in the number of women running for Congress as Republicans from Texas in one cycle. We have 3 Black congressional Republican candidates in Dallas County alone. And partly that's because we have great tools to support them. And that includes the best walking and best phone making system we've ever had, easy ways to get people to register to vote, cards that would help people identify and realize that they really are conservative, that they really are Republican, that their beliefs align better with our party, and an event calendar map, because we get calls all the time at the party. I want to get involved. How can I get involved? What's going on? And of course, we would refer them to the county party. We would also get them involved in one of our volunteer programs. But we have this map now to say you can look at this map and find things around you. At any event that is open to the public and for Republicans can be added to the structure. So by all means, there's a little link down there, submit a new event here. By all means, submit your events, please. We also have a brand new thing that has just rolled out this week. We have free, amazing websites available for any county party that doesn't already have a website or has one that's too difficult to manage and support, or too expensive to manage and support. It's available free to every county party that needs it. That's rolling out in a couple of counties the last couple of days. Supporting all this takes people. And one of the questions is, are we ready for battle this year? Are Republicans in Texas? Are we gearing up, or are we taking things for granted? Well, to give you an idea of how much we are not taking things for granted, even before coronavirus hit, we're all properly spacing out now, but even before we were in that part where we all locked down, at the Republican Party in Texas, we already had more than double the number of field staff around the state that we had not last election, not this time last election, not this time in the election before, but double the number of people at the peak of the last 2 elections combined. And we're ready for more now that we're reopening and back in the field. But our secret sauce at the Republican Party of Texas is our volunteers. And one of the best things volunteers can do is voter registration. And so we started up the 10K for 10R program. And it's not running a 10K. We're looking for 10,000 people who will each volunteer to call 10 likely Republicans to try to get them to register to vote. And it's simplest volunteering you've ever seen. If you sign up, and you can sign up by texting 10K, 10K, to the number 72,000. So send a text to 72000, and just in the body of the text, just put 10K. Fill out the form. We will send you the names and phone numbers of 10 people that we are 90% sure are hardcore Republican, and we are 90% sure are not yet registered to vote in Texas. And all you have to do is call them and say, can the Republican Party of Texas mail you a voter registration form? According to our records, it looks like you may not be registered to vote. Can we mail you a voter registration form? And through this effort, and all our efforts around this, we already have now over 4,000 volunteers and over 90,000 new registered Texas Republican voters. 90,000. And what's great is we know for sure those folks are going to turn out. But all that work and all that effort, it takes money to support that. And that's why I'm very glad that last year we set a record by a mile, all-time record for fundraising. And what's really neat about it is even if you remove all the major donor money, that big blob in the middle there, the bluish one, that's major donor money. And I'm glad major donors stepped up. I'm very appreciative for the fact that they stepped up. But even if you remove that and took away every penny of major donor money, we would have set an all-time record for fundraising, net fundraising, after all expenses, after all the postage is paid, after all the phone bills are paid for, fundraising, all of that. But raising money is one thing, managing it well is another. And we knew we were in for a big battle this year. So as we raised this money last year, we made sure to build up a fund for this year. And so while before I got elected 3 years ago, the party had never had $2 million in the bank. When we ended last year, we had $4.4 million in the bank. We're preparing for battle and preparing to win and preparing to support the work necessary to win. So how's it all working? Well, one of the other things we did was start to work on city council and school board races, because especially in urban areas, that is a place where we can gain ground and we can start to build a farm team. We can start to have wins. And this is a mailer, and you can see down there it says paid political ad by Republican Party of Texas. These three gentlemen were running as at-large candidates for city council for the city of Houston. Not Harris County, not part of the city of Houston, not the Republican Party city of Houston, all of the city of Houston at large. We were supporting these three candidates, and two of the three won. And the young guy only missed by a couple of percent. It was fantastic. So when people ask, do you know the plan's going to win? Well, you don't know until you try. We did a try and we won, and it was fantastic. Well, in January, we had another chance to try, and here's where it gets really exciting, because the big things we have to do next year, we have to keep the White House, we have to keep the Texas House, because the Texas House is going to be critical for redistricting, because next year's a redistricting. And we got to keep courthouses all over Texas. Now, we recruited candidates, so we got great candidates running for judges. We got President Trump, and we're going to make sure and deliver victory for him. But in the Texas House, the Democrat storyline goes like this. We won 12 seats in 2018. So the Republican majority now, we can take over a majority if we just win 9 more seats. And the Republicans had 9 seats where they only won it by 5% or less. That's the Democrat story. And boy, we flip those 9 seats where they only won by 5 seats or less, then we're controlling the House, we're controlling the redistricting. That's their pitch. So what they wanted to do was prove, and they were saying, oh, and yeah, the suburbs, that's the place, that's where we're gonna flip those 9 more seats. So what they wanted to do was prove that they could actually take away a seat from us, or at the very least cut us down by several percentage points. Well, they had the perfect opening. We had an office holder in House District 28 who got a better opportunity and left. So we had a special election. It's a suburban race. It's a suburban race with a high percentage of minority voters. It's a suburban race that Senator Cruz only won by 3 percentage points. It's a suburban race that the former incumbent, well-respected, liked, an incumbent, only won by 8 percentage points. So they said, this is great. Either we can flip it or just shave 4 or 5 points off. We can prove we can do this. We can flip the Texas House. And they came loaded for bear. All these groups on the screen, MoveOn.org and Blueprint Texas and Battleground Texas and all these folks, they came and they raised $2 million. 75% of it came from outside Texas. They showed up. Almost every single Democrat presidential nominee endorsed the Democrat candidate in this race, and some of them even came to the district of block. Now, Bloomberg block walking in Texas, he probably cost him some votes, so that's cool. But O'Rourke, he was there. He was all over the district. They were loaded for bear. We executed on our plan. We didn't ask for rescue from out of the state. We just got to work with the data, with the tools I talked about, with the candidate. And I will tell you that candidate, he was nearly a perfect candidate. And one of the biggest things was he worked really hard. He personally block walked 150 homes every single day. By the time it was done, he had knocked on 18,000 doors in the district. I was there with him on election night. We were both holding signs, and I can't tell you how many people came up to the polling place and said, "Gary, so good to see you again. I'm here to vote for you." Because he had real conversations with them out there. Well, we not only didn't let them gain ground, the 3 points that Senator Cruz did, the 8 points that the incumbent did, we turned it into a 16-point power. It was so good that even the Atlantic had to call it the humbling of Democrats in Texas. And even the Austin American-Statesman, which is not a big fan of us, said the GOP dashes Democrat hopes of a bellwether win in Fort Bend. And I really appreciate that Governor Abbott said the Texas GOP played a huge role in tonight's victory in House District 28, the first victory of 2020. And he's right. It's the first victory, not the last one by a mile. And not because we're wishing it, not because we're talking good slogans, not because we're counting on the press, because Lord knows they aren't on our side. Because we are doing the work, we have been doing the work, we have the candidates, we have the tools, we have the volunteers, we have an extra nearly 100,000 voters already. We're going to win. We're going to win from the White House to courthouses all over Texas together. God bless you, and God bless Texas.
And we had our convention, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, Tyler? Those that are delegates that are going to Houston to represent us, would our delegates stand up that are here? I know Ruth, your husband, Cecil, Nancy, Sam, Tyler. We're all going to Houston. So looking forward to the Republican convention in Houston in a month.
In a month.
And Chairman Dickey seems to think that it's going to go forward. So hopefully Sylvester Turner won't shut us down.
Exactly. And if y'all have time, I'd be happy to take a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
And yeah, so the first question is, how confident am I that the convention is going to go forward? One of the things I'm trying to do is not necessarily poke the press or Sylvester Turner or anybody else too much. But just as you all have done here, just as you all have just spread out a little bit, made some extra room, taken up a little more space than you would normally, people worn masks as they want to for their own sake or for the others they care about. Everybody respects each other's choices. There's plenty of hand sanitizer. All of those things we are going to do in Houston. I tell you, the staff convention center, the folks related to the convention center, the folks we've been working with on security, everybody else want desperately for this convention to come to Houston, to come in July and to be a success. And we are gladly working with them and doing the right thing. And we spent some extra money to make sure that in our Senate district caucuses and our congressional caucuses, we got double the space at least than we normally would have. And as I think back over the last few conventions, it's probably not a bad thing. Some of them were pretty snug. So it's a very good thing, and we just have to be respectful and wise, as conservatives always are. Will be fine. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
When you talk about the extra 90,000 voters who registered,
Yes.
what age? I mean, I know I'm old, but everybody I run with and know are registered. So who are you getting?
Yeah, so what's really neat about that, those, as best we can tell, so there was also another outside group that was also working very hard to register Republican voters. Coronavirus shut down their operations because of the way they were doing stuff. And, but as best we can tell, they also registered about 80,000 new voters as well. So when you put theirs with ours, plus the rest we're gonna do, by the time we're done, we'll have added a couple 100,000 new Texas registered Republicans.
Are they mostly young?
So it is a range. So a lot of them, first of all, we're getting a lot better at welcoming people when they come in. So we find people who were Republicans. In fact, one of the really neat things we're finding is Republicans who are moving in from other states are really, really, really willing to volunteer. They're very interested in making sure Texas does not turn into the places they fled, and which is fantastic. But our best guess is we probably will have registered a full quarter at least of all of the ones you possibly could have registered, which means we pretty much hit the end of the list. But if you think back, Senator Cruz won his race by 212,000 votes. If by October we've added over 200,000 new Republican voters, we just doubled his margin of victory. It's fantastic. Super exciting. Great question. Any other questions about how the party's doing, the operations, conventions, all that? I'm glad you guys had yours. I'm glad it came off well. I visited a bunch and everybody seems excited about the chance to get back out and get back to going. Yes?
Cases are spiking and stuff like that. Again, people are concerned about, they're concerned about the convention in Houston.
Sure.
I think the general consensus is that it is concerning, but we can't go through an economic depression twice in 1 year, right? And so what are we doing to kind of help make sure that we don't shut down again, have some sense of perspective about the neighbors of our economy?
Yeah, I know the president certainly is very interested in making sure we do not shut down again. I know some of the trepidation of other folks has been nervousness about opening up, because what they didn't want to do is open up, have it all have been for naught, and then close back up. But the best thing I think we can do, and certainly the thing I try and do, is remind people that the point was not to make sure no one dies. We're human. That happens every day. It's part of living. The point was to avoid overwhelming the system. We succeeded. We did that. The system is not overwhelmed. The system's not even close to overwhelmed. Even now, as cases go up and hospitalization cases go up, one of the things is optional services, right, have begun again. And of course, everybody gets tests before they do it. So of course, cases are going to go up. The thing I've been watching very closely is average number of daily deaths. Because that's really what will tell you, not today, but 2 weeks ago, how bad was it really? Well, we're already 2 weeks past Memorial Day weekend. And the average daily deaths number is as low as it was in early April. So it's probably a combination of we figured out how to deal with things, plus, doctor medical treatment, they've come up with other options. But for whatever reason, that number is a number that isn't going in the wrong direction, and that's what we'll continue to do. from our standpoint, our convention is not an optional activity. We will be electing the presidential electors that will cast the votes that will elect the next president of the United States. That is not an optional activity. We have been very, very careful to do everything exactly right and will continue to do so. Very close. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, what kind of options? We have actually been undergoing a lot of voter defense work. And voter defense work takes on a lot of different names: election integrity and work against voter fraud. Our voter defense initiatives, because every fraudulent vote steals the impact of a legitimate vote. And we are determined to protect every voter from having their vote stolen. And so we have been hard at work on this now. 2 years ago, we had already done some work. We went around the state and trained up attorneys to be ready to help county chairs. We also, this year, we have a task force that's already been working on helping county chairs do the work, because most of this work, most of the real vote fraud and election integrity problems happen at the county level. And so we are putting together some work. In fact, we just brought on a consultant the other day to take point on making sure that we are helping the county chairs recruit all the election judges, alternate judges, early voting ballot board folks, poll watchers that we are going to need for November. And that's just a matter of reaching out to volunteers, making sure that they know that they know how important the need is, and helping the county chairs get those spots filled. Because as a former county chair through a couple of primaries, I can tell you how hard it is. It's not a thing that has been easy, especially in the urban counties where I was county chairperson. Very close. Yes, sir.
What kind of input minority community affect? So, getting the message out to them, they're pretty much, our message is pretty much sensitive. How are we able to communicate?
Yeah, we cannot communicate to any community, minority or otherwise, if we're counting on the press to do that for us. So that's why I kind of alluded to it, but more detail. That's why I'm convinced that the candidate recruiting and the volunteer recruiting are where we can really make it. Because every candidate working in districts, I was talking yesterday to a congressional candidate, south side of Dallas, Eddie Bernice Johnson. She's been there for decades. She phones it in. It is a long shot race, but he's from there. And so are his family, and so is his friends, and so is his neighbors. And so in his effort to run that campaign, he's going to spread our message in his community. And we're going to help him do that, and we're going to encourage him to do that. And whether he wins or not this time, there will be more people in that community now who now know that Republicans care, and now know that our principles are right, and now know that the reason we fight for the principles we fight for is because we care, not because we don't care. We don't fight vote fraud because we want suppression. We fight vote fraud because we don't want disenfranchisement, right? Same thing, all of that. Some of it is how we present ourselves. The biggest thing is building relationships locally, and those volunteers and those candidates are a really powerful way to do that. So is the voter registration. So like I said, it helps us get to people right off the bat and welcome them to Texas and let them know the Republican Party is here for them. And my apologies, you were specifically asked about concern about non-citizens voting. We've been talking to the Secretary of State about that, and we're also trying to figure out what we can do as well. And we've been pushing through official channels to see about them actually following the law and purging that list. Sorry. I'm focused immediately on the other stuff we had just been doing. Thank you guys so much for tonight. Thank you for having me out. It's great to be back here. I was here for a Lincoln dinner a couple of years ago, and it's great to be with the Republican.
I wish you the best as you go forward. I know you're in a tough election cycle to be chairman again, so I wish you the best, Chairman. Thank you. At this time, as we come to a close, I just want to say thank you all for coming tonight. This has been several months since we've had a meeting, and it's really good to see your faces. It's really good to try and get motivated again. I know we've been in a slump here in Burleson County for a couple months.